Hey guys, thanks for joining me on this episode of Flight of Fancy. I'm excited to introduce Steven. He is the creator and host of the Steven Knight Show. His radio show provides listeners with the latest interviews and updates in music, fashion, movies, and so much more. So Steven, welcome to Flight of Fancy.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
Yes, I'm so excited to have you here today.
I appreciate it. I'm excited to be here.
Thank you. So Steven, can you just tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. Well, I'm from Chesterfield, Virginia, which is outside of Richmond. And I went to elementary, middle, and high with your sister, your big sister.
Yes.
And I went to Virginia State University, relocated to Atlanta, Georgia in 2007 pursuing music. And then in 2010, I was asked to do my show. I initially turned it down, and then I was convinced to do it, and so we started our first show in January of 2011, and we'll be going to our 10th season next January.
Oh, wow. So you've been at it for a good minute now, huh?
Yeah, been a minute.
So you said music. So was that always something that you were interested in pursuing, or how did you get into that?
Yeah, I was definitely always interested in music. Always had a love for it, but I got involved in sports, as a kid. And so after I graduated high school and I went to college, that's when I really pursued it. And so I did that in college, did it, after college, and then I really got the desire to really want to explore more. So that's when I relocated to Atlanta, and instantly I was signed to this independent label, and just throughout then and now, it's been performing, recording, releasing music, and that's been my that's my passion. That's my first love.
Awesome. So with the radio show, how and why did you get started? Because I know initially you said no to it. So what made you revisit that idea?
So actually, I was doing an interview in 2010 promoting my music on a network called EOTM, and Ron Anthony, he was the host of this show. And so about a week after we finished recording it, he approached me about doing my own show. And initially I was like, I was saying no. I told him no, but I was already thinking, how would I do it?
Right.
The irony is, when I was right after college, I would always interview my friends, and it would be like mock interviews, like, how's your tour, your world tour going? They're not on tour, but it was just mocking. When I would record it, I would call it the Steven Knight Show. And so anyway, fast forward to then, he was like, you'll meet a lot of interesting people, give you a lot of exposure, especially with your music and whatnot. And then I had a few friends that say, yeah, we'll do it with you. And so I put it together, the concept together, and that's what made me decide to do it. And then we just kind of grown since then.
That's awesome.
So, yeah.
I can say, I was talking to a friend of mine too, and just with the whole hosting and all of that, I don't know, this just kind of came to my mind. I was like, I kind of want to start a podcast, so I was like, all right, well, let's try it out. But I've totally fallen in love with it. I just love, just talking to other people, getting their stories. Exactly. So it's definitely been fun.
The people I've been able to interview, and I've talked to some of everybody, even people that you grew up listening to on the radio or seeing on TV, and my show was crazy. So it's definitely been a pleasant surprise.
Yeah,
I didn't know what to expect, but it's cool.
And I can say I have a similar story, when you were talking about interviewing your friends and stuff like that, because I coach and everything, and so one of my players, we would do mock interviews too, before the games. Yeah. So that would always be kind of fun. And then one of the videos, I have it recorded, it was pretty funny though, so I guess I knew that was going to be my path, maybe, right?
Right, exactly.
So, who or what inspires you to give you those creative moments for your radio show?
Well, oddly enough, when I was creating the show, um, that's when Owned came out, Oprah's network,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and she had a show on there in the first year of Owned, and it was behind the scenes of her final season at the Oprah Winfrey Show. It would show them like booking guests and kind of what goes into doing that type of show. And so then I watched that, and then I would listen to like the Breakfast Club and
Mm-hmm.
other shows, and I kind of see their concept of kind of because a lot of them kind of do the same thing, they just do it differently, and depending on who the hosts are, the demographics and whatnot. So I just came up with a format, and it's changed, throughout the years, but a format that I thought worked best with our audience, which is usually 1835, typically, depending on who the guest is, and um, things. And what I also do is I look at blogs, like when I'm picking hot topics for the week. I look at blogs and I see what's getting the most reaction and people engaging in the topic and responding.
Okay.
And so it's really just pulling from different things, but also learning from other people. And then I know when we were on our second network, the Mark who's over it, he told me, when you're doing especially because we play music as well in our show.
Okay.
He said, never have a segment that's longer than 20 minutes without music because people will be bored.
Got
Unless
you.
it's talk radio, that's different.
Right.
People will be bored. He said, and then also when you go to break, let people know what's coming up next. So I just kind of took things from that, and just learning from all different types of shows, TV, radio, and people who have been doing it a lot longer than me. So that's kind of what inspired me and what kind of helped me develop and continue to kind of just modify things so that people want to listen.
Right, right. I feel you. And I will say, I just want to thank you because I know I reached out to you well before I even started, thinking about doing this podcast and everything. And I will say, I find you inspiring because you've been at the radio show and doing that for a good while now. And just the fact that you took the time to give me that advice, certain things that I would ask you, I really appreciate that
Yeah.
because, just starting out, you're not always certain about what you want to do. But like you said, as you get better and like go through it, you can kind of tweak things. So, it was kind of funny because I was looking through our messages and it was literally like 3 months later
Wow.
that I had started my podcast after speaking to you.
Yeah. I get a lot of people that actually reach out to me and ask me, can I, get some, have you answer some questions for me? I've had people just in different things I've done who have helped me out, who have answered my questions, who have, you know, just been a teacher to me, in different avenues. So I feel like that's the best thing you can do. You can, especially, I grew up with your sister, but
Right.
just in general, I have strangers ask me questions, and I think it's good to share information. You know what I mean? Because there's a niche and there is a audience for everyone, depending on what you're talking about. So, I don't see it as, I'm not going to tell this person.
Right, right.
Still, no, because we do different things, and it's good that we can have each other on our shows, and kind of, promote each other. So
Absolutely.
that's what I'm about.
That's yeah, because my last episode I did, my friend, we actually met in grad school, and
Oh wow.
that's one of the things that we were talking about, just about sharing information with
Yeah.
one another, and she was talking about how some girl created this hashtag community over competition because it is kind of cutthroat no matter what you are doing, but it's just good to have like people, in your circle or in your corner to try to help you out when you're, trying to pursue something, especially something new.
You never know how the favor can be returned, or how you might need someone, or how their relationship can grow.
Right. And like literally costs nothing to be a good person and just try to help someone else reach their goals, you know? So I know we're in the spirit of talking about growth and all of that. So what books or podcasts are you listening to? I know you spoke about, looking at the blogs and everything. So what, what type of material are you referencing to help build on that?
Well, actually, crazy enough, my best friend, him and one of his friends, they created a podcast. I believe, want to say it was last year, but they didn't. They no longer have it. But I will listen to it because they're both hilarious. I literally be at the gym, like on the treadmill or whatever, listening, and I'd be cracking up. And I'm so mad they didn't stick with it. But it was a really good show. It was called the Articulate Podcast.
Okay.
So I listened to that. I listened to again, the Breakfast Club. I do read, and I was trying to do better at it, but but I'm better at like reading articles or reading blogs.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting because I'll today, my boss, she wanted to do this competition about the World Series, and so she sent out an email. She put both teams, and she said, for the contest, pick who you think's gonna win and the total number of home runs. Mm-hmm. And I was looking at it, I said, that's not who's playing in the World Series, because I know we had just talked about it on the show. My sports guy had brought it, so I Googled first, which I always Google.
Right.
I always Google just to make sure. And that cause I know I'm not crazy, so I sent it to her, and she said, "Oh, thanks." You know what I mean? So I think it's one of the good things about having the different correspondents and co-hosts that I have on the show. Everyone brings something new, mm-hmm. Whether it be movie reviews or sports or Janera. She has a blog called Genuinely, which is like a lifestyle thing. I listen to them while they're talking, and even me doing research for hot topics, so it's kind of staying in the know, so you know what's going on. Even if you don't know the whole story, you know enough. Something. And I watch a lot of news.
Yeah.
I watch CNN all day long. So
okay.
I think that kind of just keeps me up to date, with everything.
Gotcha. Now, when I hear hot topics, you know what I automatically think about, right?
Wendy Williams.
Of course.
Well, literally, I'm not lying. Especially on Mondays, I watch The View. I watch Wendy Williams, CNN, of course. I watch The Talk.
Okay, yeah.
And I watch GMA 3 with Kiki White. I mean, not Kiki White. Kiki Palmer, Michael Strahan, and Sarah. I watch all that because they talk about hot topics. So I usually watch just the hot topic segments of all those shows.
Yeah.
So I know what everyone's talking about. So it's funny that you said that. Yeah.
Because, I'll catch it obviously later because, unfortunately, I'm at my 9 to 5. I shouldn't say it like that. Right, so hopefully certain ears aren't listening and report that. Right. But yeah. But yeah, so usually I catch it later. But yeah, Wendy is a trip. So
she is a trip. I mean, she's sitting that purple chair and just go off.
Right. So I know you said you had a team, and you have a team of 6, right?
Yes.
Okay, so how, I think earlier you said they were friends of yours, so were all of them friends, or how did you guys connect and develop the Steven Knight Show?
So when we first started, it was me, Miss Parker, Janera, and Aaron, us 4. And we were all very close at the time. Well, I was close to each of them independently. Mm-hmm. And so Miss Parker and I are very close, and so she said, I'll do it with you. And then Aaron, I know he's a sports head, so I asked him if he would be over that. And then Janera at the time had this blog called Budget Shopaholic, mm-hmm. which is about fashion and finding the looks and sales and all that kind of stuff. So I thought there would be different segments we could put together. So we created that. We kicked off in January of 2011. Chike, I had known Chike since college, but I didn't really know him that well. But mm-hmm. I didn't know he was listening to the show, and he came to me and asked if he said, "Don't you think you should do a movie review segment?" And I'm like, "Well, I already watched that many movies." He was like, "No, I'll do it." So I said, "Well, we're just starting, but At first we were 60 minutes because we were asked how much time we wanted to do, and I thought 6 minutes would be enough, which really wasn't, trying to cram everything in. And,
Right.
and I tried to go back for 90 minutes. She said, well, let's just do the first few shows, and then we'll go from there, see how it goes. And our first show, it was record-breaking numbers for the network.
Nice.
So she said, you can go to 90 minutes. And so I reached out to Chike, and I was like, hey, yeah, let's do it. And so Chike did that. And then he wanted to help with, I asked him to help me with booking guests and whatnot, because I couldn't do it all with trying to do music and working and all that. He said, oh, thank you. I love this. This is what I want to do.
Awesome.
So he's been from the moment he started to now, he's been made such a huge impact with that. And then the next year, I started working with Adam, who also does movie reviews. And I thought he would be good for giving a different demographic. And so he joined, and him and Chike kind of paired up. And then finally in 2015, Nair, who I went to school with Nair at State, and didn't realize he was listening to the show either. We had done a song together like in 2013, but I hadn't really talked to him that much. And he asked me about joining the show, and I thought he would be a good asset, but I didn't know where I could use him. I think we already have 5 people, and or whatnot. And but I said, let me not just say no, let me talk to him. And we talked, and he has a strong marketing background.
Okay.
And he has a great just overview knowledge of things, and so I thought he'd be great for Hot Topic segment. So that's kind of how it is, and everyone's kind of stayed on. I've given people outs. If you don't want to do it this year, I get it. Everyone, people got married and had kids, but they've stuck with me the whole way, and so definitely appreciative of them for their dedication.
That's awesome. Yeah. Because I know that was a little bit of my hesitation initially, because when we did have that conversation, I was like, well, I'll be starting out solo, but I kind of thought about here and there, like maybe having a co-host or whatnot. So yeah, so obviously I've stuck to being solo. So that's kind of
I think just depending on whatever you're trying to achieve, or and the format of your show, it could be great doing so. I think and I definitely appreciate my team, but I think it is something you could do solo just based on what you're doing. You know what I mean? I couldn't do all the segments by myself.
Right.
I wouldn't do that. But I'm appreciative of my team. But yeah, I think that doing so, I thought that was a good idea when you mentioned it to me.
And it's so crazy. It seems like it wasn't that far away, but like thinking of like where we're at now, it's like, wow.
Right. Time flies.
For sure.
Congratulations to you too.
Oh, thank you. But speaking of time, for sure, I know that was like one of my also concerns, because I hear other podcasts and stuff like that, and I'm just like, well, crap, am I gonna really be able to talk for 30 minutes or like however many minutes? Because like my first episode, like for me solo, it was like 15 minutes, but I'm like, that's just me, so I was like, what the heck? But as you start doing it and like getting into it, it's like, oh shoot, now I'm at an hour, or like, you know what I mean? So I definitely feel you on the time and trying to get everything in that time frame.
Most definitely. If you go on YouTube, they have a lot of video bloggers.
Mm-hmm.
And some of them, they're just like, as they're talking, they have like just pictures going. Yeah. And they have like hundreds of thousands of views, and it's really just them talking for 12 minutes. Telling a story, or reporting on a story. So, I think it just depends on what you're doing and what people want to hear. You know what I mean? But that's why I always make sure, because our show can go 90 minutes to 2 hours sometimes. Mm-hmm. And so I make sure I let people know what is, what's at what section. So some people may just want to hear the hot topics, you know what I mean? Or some people want to just hear this interview with this artist or this guest. So I'd make sure that you point that out so you still get the hits.
Absolutely. I hear you. Yes, indeed. So I know we talked. We're gonna kind of bounce around a little bit, but so with
Okay.
music, so where are you right now with your music career?
So right now, I haven't put out anything since 2017, but I've been in the studio, and I definitely plan on in 2020 working on some new music. It's funny because I got to the point I'm thinking, well, I've been doing it for a while, and I haven't really given up the idea of me becoming this huge music star. You know what I mean? Who
Mm-hmm.
knows what? That's not like the goal. So the goal now, I have people that ask me, "When you put out some more music, man? You're in the studio. What you doing?" You know what I mean? And
Right.
so, and then um, there's when I look at where the sales are of my music and it's still selling. I mean, these people all they're globally buying my music, like in different countries. And I'm thinking, wow, it's kind of like crazy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I realized to make the music for me and not for the goal of being this star, or being whatever. And so I'm definitely going to get back into it first part of next year and work on some new music.
Nice, nice. Well, I'll definitely be on the lookout for that because I know when you had put out this one song on iTunes, I was definitely a supporter. So
Appreciate
I'll
that.
definitely be checking you out for new music.
Chantrice. Remember Chantrice?
Mm-hmm.
She got married in August, and every her family has a Christmas Eve party every year, and typically I go and they always have me sing. When she found out I was coming to the wedding, she asked what I sing at the wedding, and just the response from that, that really motivated me too. I had to learn the song for her, and then I sang one of my original songs, and it motivates you. People still want to hear you and appreciate what you're doing. So that was just in August. So I'm excited about doing music again.
That's awesome. I know it is funny because, like, well, obviously me, I'm not. I'm very much not a singer, as much as I wish I was.
Right.
But like when you're talking about people downloading or still like listening to your
Yeah.
songs and all of that stuff, that's kind of how I feel when, I look at my numbers because I am on YouTube right now.
Right.
But
Yeah.
like it's just like, oh, I wonder who's actually watching this or like who's listening. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So it's kind of
Exactly. Yeah.
cool. So I don't know,
It
this is
is.
all new for me. So
Because you never know who's paying attention to what you're doing. You
yeah.
never know. Like, even like I have to say, like, you know, this this is kind of relevant, but like I post every Monday through Thursday. I always post devotional that I get sent to my email.
Mhm.
And I remember I would post and I was like, well, like one or two people were like, I'm thinking people aren't paying attention to this, so I stopped doing it. And you would be surprised when people are inbox me. What happened to the daily post? What happened to that? You know what I mean? So you never know who's paying attention to what you're doing and how you're impacting them, or who's just enjoying it. And so, yeah, you do it. You do it. You do it because you love it, and then um, hopefully someone else, will get something from it. And most times they do. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So I know I told you we would be bouncing around a little bit. So I kind of wanted to go back to the advice piece, especially with you being, an artist and then you having your radio show. So, what advice would you tell someone if they are thinking about either becoming an artist, starting a show, or just any advice in general to those who are trying to create their own legacy?
The biggest thing I've learned is to do your research. Do
Mm,
your research, and depending on what type of business, see, the thing is, some people they think you have to recreate the wheel, and you don't. What you have to do is find what's going to set yours apart from your competitors. You know what I mean? What are you bringing that's going to be different from what's already out there? And I think that's the biggest thing that that creates that builds the success of a business. What is going to be my niche? What am I going to do that's different? Like, what is Burger King doing that McDonald's not doing? You know what I mean? It's
right.
all fast food, but what's different? And I think doing your research, knowing who your competitors are, and looking at their models, looking at what they're doing, and then figuring out how do I don't have to be so different, but what differentiates me from what they're doing, and work hard in doing that. Put the time in, put the work in. Because one thing I've learned, even with pursuing music, that if you work hard enough on something, you may not get what you originally sought after, but something's gonna come from it. And for me, putting in the work that I did for music, my show came from it. You know what I mean? So that's it's hard work. It's studying, learning, and creating, and networking.
Yes.
Networking is a huge thing as well. Yeah.
For networking, because a lot of times we think we just need to show up, and then that's good enough. So what do you think has been the best model that for you when it comes to networking, whether it be like for any events or just like reaching out to people for your show?
Well, the thing is not being afraid to tell people what you do, because I think sometimes we assume people know that people know I have the show.
Mm-hmm.
No, they don't. I had this song I recorded in 2000. I recorded in 2008. It came out in 2009, and the song actually, it was like #2 on independent charts, and I thought everybody heard that song. I'm promoting new music, and then all of a sudden I started getting all these comments and likes on that song. Like years later, I'm thinking, where's this coming from? And I realized that everyone does not know what you've done, and everyone has not heard that song. Just because these people heard it, I mean everyone has. So you have to be, you have to be able to tell people what you do, be able to talk about what you do in terms of, I go to these conferences and they say you should be able to say in a sentence what it is you do. Something quick that you can tell people, and it builds that interest. I will also say that we do a lot of community work, and Miss Parker came up with the idea of us getting T-shirts. So we were wearing the T-shirts on community work. What was the Steve Knight Show? What's the Steve Knight Show? You know what I mean? And even like me wearing it while I walked to the airport. I was flying back in from Miami. Was it Miami? I think it's Miami. Somewhere. And I saw the TSA person. As they looked at my license, they looked at my T-shirt, they kept looking back and forth, like, ooh, Steve Knight.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so, but you have to promote yourself. You have to be able to talk about what you do. And again, back to what we were saying earlier, if someone asks you for advice on, what you're doing, not being afraid to do that, because that's still all part of networking. Networking, helping you create, and then building those relationships.
Yeah. Because I will say, it was a conference that I went to a while back, maybe 2011, 12, something like that. And it was for social entrepreneurship, and just having those contacts, that's the hardest part too. It's easy to get them, but you have to stay engaged with the people that you meet.
You really do.
It's hard because life happens, and then you're just focused on what you're doing, but it's good to try to reach out, because I will say my last conference that I went to, it was for when I was coaching and stuff, but it was for the minority population in athletics and all of that. And I'll say that I'm just proud of this, because like I said, keeping the network is kind of difficult. So the two people that I am friends with, we've been friends now for a little over 4 years. So we still keep in contact and do all of that stuff. So
that's good.
Yeah.
Good. Yeah. Well, the thing is, like you said, no one can stay in touch with hundreds of people. You know what I mean?
Right.
That's the beauty of social media. And of course you have your Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, but also a LinkedIn. I have 2 LinkedIn profiles. I have one for the show and my music, and I have one for my 9 to 5. And I can tell you, I have just as many people follow me on LinkedIn on my entertainment one, as well as my business one. And so I've also learned you have to stay active you have to stay active.
Yeah.
The more active you are, people are watching what you're doing, what you're posting. And so every morning I post like a motivational thing, on, and I get people liking it and, engaging in it and, just appreciating that. So when I post my own content about, okay, Monday on the Steven Knight Show, these are people already watching what I'm doing, so they're liking and engaging in it as well. So it's just, you got to stay active. You got to keep a presence on there. It can be time consuming, but you just need to find that time. And what I did, I pick out a time frame in the day that I'm going to do it. You know what I mean? And I make sure I get it done.
I gotcha. Yeah, because me, I'm just a little more random, I guess. And I try to do it, every day. I try to do something every day, but the time is hit or miss. So like today with my post, because it's Wednesday, so when you were just talking about like know what you can do and how you were saying you couldn't really do everything yourself. So for me being solo, like I do my own edits and all that kind of stuff, and I just knew for me and just with my schedule that every other week would be good enough for me. So, and like today, I just had the luxury of time, and so I was actually able to post, and that was one of the things that I wrote on my post. I was like, don't get used to this, but I commit to every other Wednesday, but the time is up in the air. But it's just like having that, but that consistency too. So everybody that follows me, they know every other Wednesday they're gonna get an episode. So it's just trying to do that.
That's the beauty about the podcast. You can always go back and listen to it.
True.
You can always go back and look for new content. So
yeah, definitely. So hopefully I'm out there inspiring everyone who's listening.
I'm sure you are.
Oh. So I know having a 9-to-5 and then working on, your other businesses and everything, it can be a little crazy, but so how do you like to relax or reset your mind?
Whatever. On the weekend, most weekends I do nothing that's related to that. I may post here and there, but Saturdays I post on Saturdays, but on the weekend typically, but that's easy for me. But on the weekends, I disengage from all of it. Even like, I know that my Monday through Fridays are going to be busy, especially Monday through Thursday. That's when I'm working out the most. That's when I'm getting up early. That's when I'm working my 9-to-5. The show's on Monday. I'm doing interviews throughout the week. All that, I don't mind working hard during the week, but on the weekend, I do what I want to do.
I feel you.
That's just for me. Even like for my diet, the weekend I can, I don't go too crazy, but I'm saying that's when I can just kind of take things as they come, as opposed to being so regimented as I am Monday to Thursday.
Yeah.
And then we take breaks. Like we just came off of our end of summer, early fall break. Okay. We do that, and we started doing it because I remember it got to the point. Like everyone was just getting burnt out because we do a lot of shows throughout the year. And one year I said, let's just take September off, and everyone was like, you can tell how relieved they were. Then we came back in October, and it was like just a new energy, and so I started implementing that each year. So we take that break, and then it got to the point like I couldn't wait to come back because there's so much going on, especially with politics. And
God, yeah.
When we came back in October, we had a lot to talk about. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
But you have to take breaks. You have to just allow your time allow yourself that downtime, just so you can be at your A game when it's time to be on.
I hear you. So I'll take that advice too. But right now I'm kind of in the slow process. So that is one of my struggles. Just like finding the balance, I guess, because I'm either like 100 or it's kind of like, whatever, I'll get to it later. So I definitely need to find that in between. So I'll get there eventually.
You will. Balance is very important, just in life. You know what I mean? So, yeah.
Definitely.
Like, I don't believe people that say, I'll sleep when I'm dead. Okay, doing that, you're gonna be dead.
Right.
You gotta take care of yourself.
Absolutely. I know. Like, I'm trying to get back in the whole gym life and all that. Yeah, I see your post, so kudos to you.
Thank you. Trust me. Sometimes I don't feel like it, but
I hear you. You got to do it and knock it out. But then it's like after you do it, you kind of feel like better about yourself,
you feel
right?
so good. Oh my God, yeah, you do. You really do. Yeah.
Yes. So like I try to, like for me, I'll like go to the spa, like get my nails done or something like that.
Okay.
Trying to incorporate more massages in my self-care life. So
Most definitely.
yeah,
Most definitely.
definitely got to take care of yourself. So
It's important. Yeah.
yeah. So with creating your business and the music and all, what struggles and successes have you faced?
Well, with music, the struggles have been, for example, I remember when I first started performing, like, a lot, often, I had extreme stage fright. And what I did was I just performed more. So it got to the point that I wasn't as nervous when I performed. I mean, I may have, like, right before I go on, but once I was in there, I was doing it. So I kind of just made it, the more I did it, the less the stage fright came.
Mm-hmm.
And so I remember it was one year I was just all over the place. I was performing everywhere. And money was the biggest issue, like with finding an investor or funding for projects. And I was performing at this music festival here in Atlanta, and it was hot. It was super hot. And I remember someone had jumped in front of me to perform, and I was like, okay, I'm ready to go. And so I performed, and I didn't think I did that great, but it was like, okay, I was glad it was over. And this guy comes up to me, and he said, that was you, right? And I was like, yeah. And he was like, how would you like someone invested in your career? I'm like, huh? And so, we talked, went back and forth, and I already had the producer I wanted to work with. I just couldn't afford him. And so we got everything in, contracts done, started performing. Started recording, this project. And then it just didn't work out. It just didn't work out. It was so upsetting. It was almost a depression for me. Then I had this one guy who was going to mix the records for me. He took the money and ran.
Oh, no.
It was just crazy. It was just crazy. So, finding people, especially early on moving to Atlanta, some people, they can feel your passion and they'll take advantage of that.
Right.
And so...
So how did you bounce back from those, 2 instances?
Well, so that was all like in the same project we were working on. And I remember the producer, Phoenix, that I was working with, he and we literally like would pray before each studio session. And we weren't doing gospel music at all, but it was just, we felt like this is what we both were working for, and we're doing it, and we're making great music. And then this happens, and so, we still had a contract, but the investor, he wasn't coming through with any, whatever. And I remember I was going running one day, and I kind of just broke down. I broke down. I was so frustrated. And so I didn't know what to do. And finally I just, I'm always thinking, my mind's always going. So I asked Phoenix, I said, can we just work on something else? I said, we can redo the contract ourselves. I can't pay you right now, but, we can figure out how we, in the back end. And, we had established that relationship, and we did. And so, like, the first song I had on iTunes wasn't from the group of songs we did. It was from new music we had created. And, time went on, and the investor, he kind of, I can't remember what happened with him, but I remember him reaching out, apologize or whatnot. So we were pretty much free to do what we want with the music. So I just kind of recreated the music and was able to move forward. But there have been a lot of hiccups like that in the way. But that happens. And me interviewing, even major music celebrities or whatever, they have those things
Right.
But I'll tell you what was interesting. I was interviewing Raheem Devon, and this was this year. And I remember when we ended the interview, I remember because I had asked him, where do you see yourself in 5 years from now? And he said, music not being my only source of income. And I remember we ended the interview, and I thought to myself, this is a job to him. I feel like he loves the music, but it's become a job to him, and he wants out. He wants out. So it's something I wish I was doing every day. I wish I was doing that. You can get jaded. You can get jaded by the business aspect and people in the business. You know what I mean? So it just was kind of eye-opening for me. But I believe that, I believe I'm where I'm supposed to be, because I think that, everyone can't handle fame. Everyone can't handle, that level of success. So I think that sometimes you get what you are prepared for. And it, not saying it can't expand, but I think I stopped judging how far I got based on other people.
Yeah.
And realizing that my journey was my own. And I think that's what's allowed me to kind of not be bitter because of those things that happened to me, and me not getting to where I thought I would need to be.
Yeah. No, that is a real thing. Just trying to, because you have your goal of what you want to do, and
right.
When you first have that thought or that dream, for us, we see everybody on TV, music videos, and all of that. So it's like, yeah, I want that. You know what I mean? So you can't help but to want that for yourself. But, as time goes on, sometimes your mindset shifts or your focus changes on something else. Or, like you said, you are just in the place where you should be right now. So
definitely, that's different aspects of life. And, for me, in terms of successes, I've performed places I never thought I would. I have music that's get sold all over the world. I never expected that. You know what I mean? So those are things, that I kind of took for granted. Until I look back, and I'm like, okay, you may not be. I remember when someone emailed my website one time asking, "Will Steven Knight be coming to perform in Australia?"
Oh.
I wrote back. I wanted to write back, if you send for him. But it's just so, the beauty in technology and is we're all so much closer than we once were.
Yeah.
And so your music can go farther than you can go, and I think that's the beauty in all.
Now, like with TV shows and movies and all that stuff, is that something that you would like to see, or has that already happened, like with your music being featured in a show or a movie?
It hasn't been featured in anything major, but it's been, it's been featured like in independent stuff and different programs, like local things. Like I performed in local shows, and I remember I did this. I had to come with 5 different outfits, and I was like artist of the week, and so I had to record. It was kind of like lip syncing to my own music.
Oh.
Excuse me. But I had to change each time, so they had one for Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So just different things. I mean, just things that I didn't think of. So I'm proud of the things that I've been able to accomplish. And just take it with a grain of salt, really.
Well, that's awesome. So what do you think is to be next in your journey?
Well, next, definitely new music. I'm very excited about the show and, the direction we're going in. We're actually working on having it filmed. That's something that's coming out of the pipeline. We're still trying to work out the kinks with that. So, you always say the sky's the limit, because you really don't know what's going to happen. You can just plan for it and prepare for it. And so that's where I am with all that. But I'm excited that I still want to do the show.
Yeah.
I didn't think I would want to do it after so long. But I enjoy it now that I I've created it for how I like it and how I want it done, and the people listening and want to be part of it and want to be guests on there. And so we'll see where what happens, but I'm excited about it.
That's awesome. Because, I mean, as long as you're happy and, like, you're still, like, in that mindset of, I guess, fun, because,
Yeah, exactly.
like you were saying, with the one guy that you interviewed, like, once it starts to become, like, a job, then
Yeah.
there goes the fun aspect of why you created what you created in the first place.
Exactly. When it's like, oh my God, just one more thing. No,
Yeah.
but no, I actually look forward to it. We sit down and we go to record, and it's yeah, I do enjoy it.
Awesome. So, like,
Definitely.
who was, like, one of your favorite guests that you got to interview?
Let's see, favorite guest. Maybe a lot of people, but I do remember Kelly Price was someone I really enjoyed. And I actually was in Houston working on this project. And at that time, I could record anywhere. And I remember she was so nice. And she even tweeted us after the show, thanks for such a great interview, whatever. And that brought a lot of people to our page because she has such a huge following. And it was just crazy because after that, she was on this reality show and she wasn't seen in the best light. People were trying to cancel her. I was like, no, she was so sweet to me. But she was great. I also enjoyed Toni Braxton's mom. She's on the Braxton Family Values.
Yep.
And she offered to invite me over to cook for me.
Nice.
Oh. It sounded good at the time.
Right. I was like, did we take her up on that offer?
Right. But I will say, Faith Evans, she's been on the show 3 times. And I remember I was really nervous going into the first interview with her. And I remember I was reading off my introduction and I heard her voice. And I was like, wow, this is Faith Evans on my show. You know what I mean?
Yes.
But also, I'm the last person. I could go on forever. But Tito Jackson, Michael Jackson's brother, he had a comeback single he was trying to do, and the sound was actually really good. And I remember I did the interview with him. I remember he was thanking me for like after we had finished the interview, he was thanking me. Thank you so much for that. And I'm thinking, you thanking me? Thank you. You know what I mean? But I enjoy our discussion panel conversations where we have everyday people, just talking about different topics. The one thing that always gets the most people involved and listener, anything about relationships. Anything about relationships, people are always, I think that's something people not always struggle with, but they're very curious about. And, making theirs better or getting in a relationship. And so people are always even my question of the day, they're always involved when it comes to relationship topics. So.
Yep. Relationships are always like a topic of conversation because it can go into so many different directions. And honestly, that is like something that I would like to do, after I get more in a rhythm with this podcast. I would definitely like to, do more fun segments on like relationships and stuff like that. So, we'll see what's to come, a little later.
Most definitely. Do it.
I definitely will. So, Steven, before we get out of here, where can my listeners find you or connect with you?
Please connect with me. You can connect me on Instagram. My personal one is Steven Knight, STEVENKNIGHT 32. That's on Instagram and on Twitter. And then our Twitter on the Steven Knight Show is Steven Knight Show, SHO. So it's STEVENKNIGHT That's on Twitter. And then the Steven Knight Show and everything else. And you also go to our website, thestevenknightsho.com. And yeah, you can email us. We have a lot of people email us their music, or even want to be interested in being on the show. It's submissions at the Steven Knight Show.
Awesome. Well, Steven, thank you so much for being a part of Flight of Fancy.
I definitely appreciate it. Congratulations again to you for making this all happen.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Well, guys, that concludes another episode of Flight of Fancy. Make sure you like this episode and subscribe so you don't miss future episodes. But until the next one, keep creating. Bye.